Alright, so here's the latest issue I'm having in my basement, and it's with my pre-installed wall blanket insulation. So we bought the house and it had this. Did a lot of research on it, didn't know much about it. It sounds like most people just keep it and put the stud wall outside of that. It leaves a little bit of space, which I was going to do. My wall would start about where my foot is. The problem is there's moisture behind this, and it sounds like online that can happen. So you can see here, this is kind of dried. It's almost like a rust color, so there has been water in there. Not too bad. However, about 6 months ago, it was pretty wet down here. I even had to cut little slits in it to let the water out, and then I cut slits in there, dried it all out, and it's coming back again. Maybe hard to see, but these are all little wet spots. So I cut some slits in it, tried to dry it out, just not working. This entire wall is covered with moisture, so really not too sure what's going on there. I thought maybe it was coming in from the wall. Opened it up a bit, right where you'd think it would be. Wall looks pretty dry there, so pretty confusing. See if we could get in there. Wall looks fine. To be honest, I was kind of hoping to find like a smoking gun and find you know, some water coming out, and then I could patch it. That doesn't seem to be the case. Come over down here, and there's even like you can see that like there's water in here. So lots of water, like there it is, all dripping out. So just seems to be on the top portion of this wall blanket. So right across from here, somehow condensation is getting in. I think it's condensation getting in and coming down and catching down there. Everything up top is sealed, so I thought maybe that was the issue, but maybe there's airflow getting behind here somehow. Not really sure. So at this point, I'm going to take a step back a bit, and I think I'm actually going to rip down all of this insulation on this wall and see if there's anything wrong with the wall. Probably not. And then if not, I'll just build a wall the traditional way and put the insulation in between the studs, which is fine. That'll save me a few inches of floor space there. Alright, so I've taken down the first little bit of wall blanket there. As I suspected, there's really no water or anything coming in from the wall, which I guess is good. So that means it's probably a condensation issue. It actually doesn't look too bad, but I'm committed now, so we'll continue on. Check out this insulation here. Alright, so I was kind of regretting pulling all this stuff down, but anyways, came to a spot here. Look at how wet this is. Like this is even like very wet to the touch. So like something, I wonder, like I've just literally squeezed water out. So that's no good. Yeah, like, anyway, so look at that there, so wet. Squeeze some water out. No good. So we'll fix that up. Alright, so I've got the entire wall blanket off this side. No obvious signs of moisture on the wall, so I've got the sprinkler going. Get this nice and saturated and see if anything comes through. I don't think it will. The water was rust colored, so if it's condensation just forming on the plastic, it shouldn't be rust colored. So it kind of makes me believe like some of this stuff is rusty here, or maybe some of these leftover bolts in there. Maybe it's coming through some of these bolt holes slightly, and the rust, and then coming out and settling down. So I can easily patch that up after. Shouldn't be a big deal, but again, nothing too obvious. Like you can see here, that's rusty. Alright, so we're gonna get this area nice and wet with the sprinkler and then see if anything comes through. One thing I was wondering, I'm not sure, but this outside plastic thing is kind of exposed. I don't know if it's possible to get water in between here and then go down. Maybe that's part of the issue there. So maybe I could cover that up with some dirt or seal this better and then put dirt on it. I have to look into that. Alright, so this is day 2. Yesterday I put some saran wrap on the wall and taped it in. I've heard this is a method you could use to see if anything is kind of coming out from the wall and you know, condensing. It's pretty dry, so no issues there. Did another one here and a final one here, and then I was looking at the wall, noticed a wet spot right there. I think that's my smoking gun. So we come closer here, that's damp. So water is somehow coming through the wall there, and it actually looks like there's a small hairline crack there. So water's clearly coming through there, and you can see even some of the insulation has got stuck on the wall there, definitely from the water. So that's how the water's getting in, and that makes sense that it's kind of condensing out onto the vapor barrier and then going down into the low spots and accumulating. So that's my issue. So that was kind of what I was hoping for, is an issue like that I could see and fix. So we'll take a look outside now. It's about an arm span from the window to the outside. Now let's take a look at the outside and see what's going on. All right, there's the window, and look at that. One arm span away, and there's a wet spot on the wall. Noticed this before, but never really thought much of it. What happens is when it rains, the water comes down here, and there's a joint in the vinyl here, and it drips and comes down there, and it almost looks like there's a small crack. Once it starts dripping, you can see this exposed plastic here. I think the water's getting down behind there, going down and then coming through the wall. So I'll look at some ways to fix that. Got to figure out a better way for this so the water doesn't come down here. Then maybe put some caulking in between here, and then get a whole bunch of dirt up on top, and then put some more grass. Hopefully that'll fix that. Alright folks, so as you can see here, I purchased a Flexomeric crack filling kit. I got a professional quote from a couple people to have my tiny hairline crack repaired, and they quoted me between literally $3,000 and $4,000, which just seems crazy. Anyways, this is about $120, and it's basically the exact same stuff that the professionals are going to use, and it's the exact same method. So we're going to glue these little guys on the wall with this, I think part A and B, probably some sort of epoxy. Glue that on the wall and then fill it all in on top, and then we're going to inject this low viscosity resin into the crack, and that should fill it up and fix it. So see how that goes. Alright, so I've got some epoxy adhesive on this one. Let's try and stick it right on this little crack here. Starting to dry, so we'll let those dry, and then we'll put more glue on top of that, and then fill in the crack. And then I guess once that's dry, we put some water in the top, get the crack nice and wet, and then that's going to help this substance, whatever I'm putting in the wall, cure. So we'll go from there. Alright, so I've got a macro lens on here so we can take a look at this crack. Trying to hold the camera steady. Now let's take a look inside here. make sure I got it right set on the crack. Hard to tell, but it looks like I did. I'm a bit skeptical that this is going to work, so that's why I'm showing that this little tube is indeed on the crack. Let's take a look at this guy if we can. Looks pretty good to me. And back down to the third one. Looks pretty good. Alright, so the next step in this process, it says I have to use a squirt bottle full of water and flush the crack with water. That gets the crack wet, cleans it out, but I guess the resin that I eventually inject in here has to chemically react with the water, so it's a really important step. This is such a small crack though, I don't know if I'm going to see water coming out of here, and if it doesn't, I don't know what I'm going to do. So we'll carefully squirt some water in here, see what happens. Water is going in, that's a good sign. Nothing has come out yet. Also looking for leaks down here. Keep going. Slowly but surely the water is going in. I don't know where it's going. Nothing yet. This is extremely anticlimactic. Oh, I think I see some water. That's a good sign. Okay, we're gonna watch here and see if any water comes out. It's working. It's working. Huh? This is actually surprising me. I definitely didn't think any water would come out. Luckily no leaks, so this adhesive has done a pretty good job so far. There's the meniscus. And there it is, first drop, okay. Oh, second drop. So I think I'm gonna cap this. There we go, so that's capped. We'll keep filling this, and I guess I should start to see water come out the bottom one. Nothing yet. That may take a while. Still going in. Oh, I think I see some. Huh. Interesting. As you can tell, I'm pretty skeptical of this whole system. So I didn't actually seal the crack on the outside of the wall. It said to do it to keep the resin contained, but I don't think this stuff is actually going to get through this whole wall because it's 8 inches, but we'll see. So it would actually make me pretty happy if I see some of this resin leaking out the other side on the outside of the wall. Well, this is looking good. I want to keep going until I get one drop in there. Almost there, I can see it coming out. There we go. That's it. So, I guess we'll let the water kind of leak out a bit, and then we'll put the resin in. Alright, so I got my resin here. I'll give this a go. It is pretty messy. I already squirted a whole bunch all over the place, so we'll see if I can get this out without making too much of a mess. Okay, good. Seems to be on there. Now I will inject the resin. And it says it takes between 20 and 140 seconds for it to come out the opposite way. Unfortunately, it is leaking a bit. I think I'm supposed to stop and put more appears to just be leaking out everywhere. So this stuff didn't do a great job of sealing it. Interesting. Doesn't look like there's any sign of resin coming up out of here. Looks like it's only gone up about, you know, an inch. I don't know if I should keep going or stop. Not a huge amount is leaking out, but it is leaking out nonetheless. And we've got full tube failure. It is now leaking everywhere. It looks like the back of the tube has failed completely. And now the resin is coming back. Oh, we do have resin coming out. That's very good. Okay, so things have turned around here. This is kind of a disaster. Resin almost got on my shoes, so I'm going to take my shoes off. Okay. That's really good. Okay, so this is going to be a mess, but I'm going to take one of the caps. We're going to pull this off. Probably make a mess. Yep. We're going to cap that. Stick him on here. Oh my goodness. So yeah, something's wrong with this tube. The back blew out, I think. I don't know. We're just going to go for it. More leaking out the top, and now I see why they said wear gloves and proper clothing, because this gets everywhere. My entire caulking gun is full of resin, so the tube has actually broken somewhere. Just hoping I can finish this. Ah, very good. So we are getting resin out top there, so it's been a messy process. Alright, so we're going to take a look at this Flexomeric tube here. Look, resin is completely leaking out my hand here. Yeah. I want to take a peek at this tube. It's definitely broken at the back. That's too bad. I wanted to use this for my next crack. Yeah, see the seal broke. It's coming out the back there. Look at this giant mess it made. Alright. I don't know what to do now. I'm just going to put this down and deal with it later. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I think that'll definitely fill the crack. I don't think it's a big deal that some of this leaked out. Alright, so here's the final result. This is before it dries, so we'll come back tomorrow and see if it looks any different. So far everything did go as per the instructions. I put the resin in here. A little bit leaked out, but not too much. And then I did get some coming out there, so we capped the bottom one, then put more in there, and we got resin up top. So, and a bit leaked out around the sides, that's why you can see this is a little darker, but not the end of the world there. I was actually shocked the resin went all the way up the crack, so that's actually really good news. So hopefully it does a good job sealing the crack once it dries. I was a little disappointed that the resin there you saw earlier, that it kind of exploded out the back. I'm not sure why. It did take a lot of pressure to get like as I was pushing on the caulking gun, so that probably did it, but I thought it could have been a little stronger than that. Anyways, it worked. All right, so it's been 24 hours. It looks like the resin has cured in there. A bit spilled on the outside, and that's all dry. Alright, so that method actually worked. This kit keeps surprising me. Here it is. Toss that away. Crack, as expected, can't really see too much. I mean, definitely looks filled, like the resin got all in there. Yeah, looks good. Maybe I'll sand it away a bit and then go put the hose on outside. Alright, so I just sanded everything away, so we're basically back to where we started, except hopefully I've got a little bit of resin that's filled in the crack there. So I'm going to go water the house and leave the hose on for a few hours and let the water seep in. I know before that 100% would bring water through this wall, so hopefully this did the trick. I really wanted to take off that adhesive that I put on there because I felt like that alone was enough to maybe stop the water, so I just want to test this one method. Maybe later I could put a nice patch of concrete on here and that'll clean it up a bit, but for now I just want to test and see if that works. Alright, so I watered the side of the house for about an hour and then let the water sink in, came back a few hours later. Last time I did that without filling the crack, it leaked, but as you can see here, no water, not damp, so this did the job. So I'm pretty happy with that.